Here's a review of your final affirmations for MT2. Let's review this and then have you complete a redo. On this question right here, you are correct in the fact, there we go, that it's a vertical dilation. We have negative 2x squared. What you didn't have in your answer is you didn't account for this negative sign. So you're going to flip it and then do a vertical dilation. So we know our parabola is going to go through 0, 0, and then 1 and negative 2. So it's going to be thinner. Now with the horizontal, when you have a negative sign, the points just flip-flop, so your parabola looks the same. Remember, when you're doing horizontal, inside the parentheses, it's always backwards. So I'm going to take 1 divided by my horizontal, my absolute value, that which is 2. So in other words, horizontally, it goes over to 1/2. So that is a horizontal compression. And that's the only thing you did wrong with that question. If we take a look at this next question, I think you're confused by x is less than 1. You do have an open circle at 1, but everything else is less than, so these should have been filled in. And then you happen to fill in x equals 1, 1 on x is greater than or equal to 1. So we should have had 2 solid lines, which you had the lines graphed correctly. You just put those extra holes in there, and because of that, you said it wasn't continuous, but you could graph this without lifting up your pencil, so it is continuous. So a little, you were confused, or you learned incorrectly about less than 1. They're not all open circles, just some of them are. Or not just some of them, just the one at 1. Everything else is included. Here's one question you just got wrong. If I give you this graph, I want you to find f of negative 4. In other words, x is negative 4. So I go to negative 4 in my grid. I go down to where the parabola crosses x at negative 4, and notice that value is negative 1. So f of negative 4 equals negative 1. I was trying to figure out how you got negative 4 for an answer. I couldn't figure that out. And there wasn't a lot of work to show on that either. Okay, you misinterpreted this on question number 9 because you did it correctly. But then, well, your work is correct, I should say, but you misapplied that work. So on part A, I'm doing a horizontal dilation, so I'm looking at my x's. Remember, inside the parentheses, when you do horizontal, it's always a reciprocal. So I'm going to divide by 2. I'm going to take x divided by 2. Well, let me blow up my graph here. What's negative 2 divided by 2? Well, that's negative 1. What is 2 divided by 2? Well, that's positive 1. They keep the same x values, so there is your new line. Then for the next one, 1/2 of g of x, I'm going to multiply my y coordinates by 1/2. Keep the x's the same. Well, the first part, what's half of 0? Half of 0 is 0. So I'll put this at 0. Then I look at my next y coordinate. Half of negative 4 is negative 2. So it should be at 2 and negative 2. And then my third point, my y coordinate is negative 2. What's half of negative 2? Well, that's negative 1. So then your graph should look like so. That's what the vertical and horizontal dilations actually do. You knew they were horizontal and vertical, you just misapplied what they were. this question is mostly correct. Okay? The only thing is you miss the context of it. It says Lamar, drained an aquarium. It took him 20 minutes. The graph showed the amount of water in liters in the aquarium versus time in minutes. Find the domain and range of the function. You're right. The domain is less than or equal to 20. The range is less than or equal to 20. In this problem, can the amount of water or the time, can that be negative? I sure hope you said no. Notice that they're not lines, it's a segment. So your domain should have been x is between 0 and 20. Your range, y is between 0 and 20, or 200. Now, can you have 0 amount of water? Yeah, and I can have 0 time, so I'll put lines underneath those because it can be that much. That's the only thing you did wrong on that question. And this question, your work is correct, but you typed it in wrong on the computer. The range, the domain is right. The range goes from -5, but you don't include -5, and it goes up to 3. Now, when we write an interval notation, we always start with a smaller value. So you should have had the parentheses at -5, and then it goes up to 3, and we include 3. So you just had those backwards. And here's a question. The last question, I think, is more of a reading question than it is a math question. Part A, all values at which f has a local maximum. When I say all values at which f, that means I'm looking for the x values. You gave me the y values. You gave me the same answer as B. So the two x values that have a local minimum when x is -2 and when x is +4. So it should have been -2 and 4 for the first one. You had the second one right. When I asked for all local minimum values of f, then you're giving me the y value. So this is just, I think, more of a reading question, a reading comprehension question, than it was understanding the Algebra 2 and the math. Okay, the redo is open for you, so please complete that.